Alright, what is up, everybody? Hoang Zero here, and today we are doing a deck profile for the Royal Knights deck in set 2.5. So, a couple of things. So, one, I know 2.5 is quite a bit away. I mean, like, I say quite a bit away, but it's only like a month away at this point. So, coming up pretty soon. BT20 was fully revealed in Asia pretty recently, so they'll be coming out really soon. So with that being said, we do have access to all those cards, so we know everything that's coming out. And I've been testing Royal Knights for the last couple of days, and I've had a lot of fun with it. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite decks at the current moment. And I think there's a lot of versatility in the deck because of the new additions of cards like the Omni X as well as the Omegamon. And Cool Boy, of course, and Last Guardian. So there's a lot of new and interesting things that the deck can do, and I'd love to talk about it. I know the format of this video, it's not what I normally do. But I just wanted to put something out there content-wise. I just wanted to start uploading again, and I wanted to dip my toes in the water, and we wanted to get this out as soon as possible. So we're gonna be doing this, and then slowly I'll be reacclimating into doing more fancier graphics, I suppose, over time. But for right now, I hope that this is sufficient. It gets the point across, right? So apologies for that, but. Without further ado, jumping right into the deck profile. So, as you know, Royal Knights was introduced in BT13 as this sort of Megazoo-esque style of deck, where your goal was you play a Royal Knight for reduced costs. At the start of your turn, it gets sucked up, and then that reduces the cost of your other Royal Knights further. So very similar to how Demon Lords play, but the trade-off is that Demon Lords are, when you remove the body, you still get a stack. The reduction is based on your gates, and your boss card is Ogudo. Whereas with this, your reduction is not as clean, I would say, because your reduction stems from having not only it stems from having cards underneath your egg in source. And so if you're having your bodies removed constantly, then that can become a issue in order to maintain board to actually facilitate getting those names underneath. Your win con is Omnimon, and because your win con is Omnimon, that does mean you need different names for Royal Knights in order to push lethal. And previously, floodgates are a little bit annoying just because like you don't have like an archetype floodgate removal. Like for example, say like Pummel Whack or Porcupine, kind of primarily Pummel Whack, right? Because like obviously you can play Porcupine in this because it's like on play. But yeah, so there's a couple of stark differences. And for a long time, BT13 Royal Knights were just heavily outclassed by Demon Lords, right? It's just like, why would you play this over Demon Lords? But now, with the new support that the deck has received, there is an actual reason to actually play this over Demon Lords. Number one, you have ace threats because Yggdrasil's ability to prevent you from evolving is only during your turn. So now we have Jesmon GX, which is this card here. And Jess GX gives you the ability to pop your opponent's Digimon. It swings twice. It is a Royal Knight as well, so you can play this with a cost reduction from Yggdrasil as well as the Omnimon. Not Omnimon, but like you can use it as like a double swing off of Omni. Other new things that we got, we just go in order really. Okay, yeah. So starting us off, we obviously Yggdrasil. So Yiggy is start your turn, all your Royal Knights get sucked up, reduce the cost by 4 base, and then +1 for every source you have underneath. And then and the inheritable is when you play an option with Royal Knight, gain a memory. So why Yggdrasil is so important is, obviously, aside from stacking, is the inheritable to gain memory. So as you know, Purge is a 6-cost base, but with 3 Yggdrasils underneath, it then becomes a 3-cost option, which is very significant. So this is like you're setting up, not only are you stacking a Royal Knight for free, you can also use this to play out a Royal Knight, give it a rush, a lot of combo you can do there. It's also a really strong security check, and it draws you a card. But the newest option that we received is the Last Guardian. So reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Cool Boy and 1 card with Royal Knight or X antibody among them. Return the rest, place in a battle area. When any of your Digimon with Omnimon in their name would leave the battle area, you can delay to prevent that Digimon from leaving. So you can use this if your Omnimon would be threatened, and it's like Omnimon in name, right? So both Omni as well as Omni X. If either of them would be threatened to leave via like your opponent's trying to remove them from battle, even Yggdrasil's own effect, then you can use the Last Guardian to protect it. But this is like a really huge consistency booster because it's just like it's with 3 Universals, it becomes a 1 cost check top 3 add a card. And then your security effect is you can play a Mecha or Cool Boy from both hand and trash and then plays in battle area. And we did receive a couple new cards. So for example, Cool Boy. Cool Boy is when your Digimon are played or Digivolve, if any of them have Royal Knights, tap and draw 1, gain 1. An opponent's turn, when any of your Digimon Royal Knights would leave the battle area, you may play an Omekamon from your hand without paying cost. So Cool Boy is a really nice consistency booster as well as a memory gain for the deck. Being 4 cost and not a memory tamer is a little bit unfortunate, but the card is still really strong. Not only is it giving you additional resources, but it also plays out your Omekamons for free. And why Omekamons for free are really important is obviously you have old BT13 Omekamon. Old BT13 Omekamon is not only drawing you an extra card, but also can stack a Royal Knight. But we have new Omekamon. So new Omekamon is not only a blocker, but also on play, if you have 1 or fewer security, this Digimon may Digivolve into Omnia X in your hand with ignoring requirements and cost. On deletion, place this at the bottom of your Drazel, and then the inheritable effect is during your opponent's turn, when your security is removed, you may tap the Drazel to play out 1 Omekamon from this card source. So what this all means is, so essentially, if you have a Royal Knight and it gets removed while you have Cool Boy on the board, you can use that to play out the Omeka. And then you can use the Omeka to block. The Omekamon goes underneath the Drazel. And then when you take a damage, you can summon back the Omeka and then use the Omekamon to block again. Additionally, you can, when this Omekamon is sent into the source, that also counts towards the cost reduction. And then you can also use this as like a, we've been calling it a mirror force. Because essentially what it does is when you take damage, you play the Omekamon out during your opponent's turn, and if you have 1 or fewer, then you can evolve into Omni X. And you may be asking, what Omni X? Well, we're going to the new Omni X. So this is Raid Piercing Blocker, on play when Digivolving. If Omni or X Antibody is in this card source, choose 1 of both players' Digimon, delete all others, then return 1 of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck. End of your turn, 1 of your Digimon may gain Rush for the turn and attack without suspending. So, side note, this Omekamon is treated as an X antibody. So if you evolve over this Omeka using the Omnimon X, you will get the ability to pop. Okay, so that's very significant. Additionally, not only does it pop, but it also has a bot deck associated with it. So you actually remove up a lot of bodies. So like you pop a bunch of bodies, you leave 1, and then you bot deck the last. So really good there. Raid Piercing Blocker are all fantastic keywords. So either it's a 16k blocker that you can combine with Last Guardian to make it really sticky. But Raid Piercing is also really good because of its end of turn ability. 1 of your Digimon gains Rush, and it attacks without suspending. So effectively, it's like an Arrestor Superior mode, because what you're going to end up doing is you can go ahead and combine this. You can play this out with like Purge or like Leopard or Gonku, because Gonku specifies you can't play Omni. So you can play Omni X. So you play with the Omni X. Omni X effect, bot deck 1, and then swing without suspending, Raid Piercing. So you're removing 2 bodies effectively with this card. And then it's a blocker still because it didn't tap out. This card is actually just insane. It's effectively a searchable Blitz Omni for a lot of other decks, and in this deck in particular, it's just like strong removal. It's a huge defensive play. It represents double swing off the Omni turn as well, and it is a target for Omnimon, so it's just a really powerful card in general. And yeah, those are all the new cards. I guess there's a couple other new cards in this deck. Oh no, okay, so yeah, other new cards. Jessamon. Well, I guess we can literally go in order now, since we got like the major ones out of the way. For Magnamon, this is still like probably your best turn 1 play. It's not only a card that's going to ramp your cost reduction, but also it's going to draw you an additional card. It's a blocker for early game. It's just like your cheapest play. Play 4 of that because we want to see it consistently. Craniumon, blocker on play, becomes immune to opponent's Digimon, and end of your opponent's turn, taunt and force them to swing. Card is still good. I mean, like, obviously there's a lot of ways you can get around this, like Raid, for example, from Gallenmon X, which is really annoying. But for the most part, Craniumon is still very potent into a lot of different decks, especially Rogue. You just force them to swing out into this 13k body, and you smack the shit out of them. New BT20 Alphamon. Why this card is important is the on-play / when it's mostly the on-play. Heal 1. So remember, Omekamon is when you have 1 or fewer security, and you can evolve into Omekamon, and it's like the ability to play it out is like you have to have a security removed. So if you ever get put to 0 security, you can slam the Alpha heal 1, and then you can re-trigger your Omecamon. All turns, also, when a security card is removed, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 8k, so it can also be used as removal. And it has barrier as well, so you can do a couple battle tricks with it. But pretty good. Leopardmon. Leopardmon obviously really important because it reduces the cost of your Royal Knights by 4. So this is really important when you go Purge, Leopard, play Omni for 4 reduction, so it speeds you up significantly. I have found that playing for the Omni combo is still the best way to play this deck. I'm testing Leopard at 2 because you don't want to see this card early. You want to see it later on in the game, and having more consistency pieces via Cool Boy and Last Guardian should make it so we're able to see the Leopardmon more. We're playing 3 Dynus. The reason why Dynus is so good is because obviously it's a consistency booster, so it's a decent turn 1 play, but more importantly, it fills your trash. And so filling your trash is important because you want to incentivize having cards like Omecamon as well as Cool Boy in your trash because of the Last Guardian security effect. So that way we're increasing the odds that we're going to get value off of this ability. Not only that, but also just like searching for Omni X and like all those other pieces is still really good. So yeah, so Dynus is our one of our additional consistency boosters. Royal Knights is a deck you just want to play for as consistent as you possibly can. So I think this is a really great way to go about it. To the BT19 Lord Knight, the on play is you may play any level 4 or lower from your trash without paying cost. And opponent's turn, if opponent's Digimon attacks, you can swap the attack target to a Digimon with a Royal Knight. So not only does it attack redirect, which is really good, but also revives any 4. So all the Omechas are valid, as well as the Magnamon. So that's really good. Reviving Omecamon is possibly a really strong ramp because like this is a draw 1 that also ramps 1. This is a blocker that can float. So, and then obviously Magnamon is potentially just another name you can add that draws 1. So yeah, overall Lord Knight really strong. And then 2 Gallant. Gallant is really good. Gallant is still like really solid spot removal, but we've gotten a lot more spot removal in the deck, so this becomes a little bit less unnecessary. And there is some anti-synergy in the deck that kind of don't go hand in hand with how Gallantmon wants to work, because his cost reduction is based on if you have no Digimon on your board for that additional reduction, rush, and then pops 6k or less, and then if he doesn't pop that, 30k or more. But this card here has a little bit of anti-synergy with them, specifically because it's on play. You may play the Atho Rene Poor token. I don't even know if I pronounced that right, but you play this token out. Token has reboot, blocker, and decoy for red-black, and when any of your other Digimon are played, this Digimon can pop a Digimon with 8,000 or less, and then a Digimon can attack. But that part doesn't come up a whole ton, just because like it doesn't have rush, so. I mean, like, if you go Purge, play this out, and then you, like, slam something, then, like, yeah, that would work. But yeah, so the token is really good because it's decoy, red-black, and a lot of your Royal Knights are, in fact, red-black. Like, the GX, Ganku, Omni-X, Lord Knight, Gallant, Alpha, and Crania, these are all red-black, so having the decoy can be really nice, just, like, an additional layer of security. And it is reboot blocker as well, so we're just increasing defensive utility, and popping 8,000 or less means that your opponent can't just move up and play around the Gallantmon. So overall, Justmon is actually really solid. Ganku, tried and true staple for the deck. It's a huge blocker and also plays out a Royal Knight from source that isn't Omni or Ganku. So we can use this to do some tricks, like we can use this to play out Alphamon to heal 1, we can use this to play out Gallant to get the pop, we play Jesmon, play a token, GX, like, we can even play Omni X, which is a really huge play actually. So if you stack Omni X and you Ganku it out, it's really good. But the reason why we're playing 2 is because at 3, it's like, it doesn't necessarily advance your board state a whole ton, because like at best you're advancing by 1 name. In a lot of situations you'd rather just play more for like tempo, unless you like have a good, like something really good stacked in. But then like if it can be removed and like you're putting yourself in like a very volatile position. Play 1 Cantorus. Cantorus is not only a double swing, but also it gains 3 memory. Ideally, not ideally, but like realistically, you're probably going to go low in security because like you're just getting swung at because like you're this Mega Zoo style of deck. So Cantorusmon is really good because it's effectively a 10 cost in that sense. If you Omni it out, you can gain back 3 memory, which means you can possibly get out your Omni turn a little bit faster. So Cantorus is really good. You can also stack a yellow card, so we can stack Queen Device as well as Marcus or like Magna or Alpha. And like I said, is a double attack that also -7. So you can use this in combination with the Omnimon to represent additional damage. For Omni, I mean, this is still just our like this is still the win con. If you don't see the Omnimon, then like the game is cooked beyond belief. So we're just playing 4 because like we need to see this no matter what. There's a lot of situations where you have to play 1 early for the spot removal as well. So just like consistency wise. 3 Omni X. I already explained why Omni X is a good card. The reason why we're playing it at 3. Originally, I played it at 2. But I resolved the Mirror Force effect quite frequently, but the issue I was running into was I was having to drop 1 during the mid game in order to remove like a board. And then by doing so, I then didn't have the Omni X defensive play later on in the game, so I bumped it up to 3 to just have that options like where I expend 1 and then have another. There are also games where like the Omni X was stuck in security, so like I was just missing it. And then 4 Purge for 4 Last Guardian, just like consistency across the board. 1 Queen Device. Queen Device is really good. When you play it, you can minus 3000 DP, and a Digimon's Wind Digivolving doesn't activate. So we can use this to remove Psychmon and its fellow clones, as well as like turning off Wind Digivolving. So like for example, Magnamon X is a really great example, or like Gallant X, or like whatever. So Queen Device is just really good for that kind of stuff. 2 Marcus Damon. Originally we were playing a heavier device package, so like it was like 2 queen 2 pawn, but memory choking is still an issue that you face in this deck, so having the memory tamer is really good here. Not only that, but like it's a really strong security check as well, and it removes floodgates like the Psychmon. So and then Cool Boy is at 3. While it is a really strong turn 1 play, and like I even argue if it is your best turn 1 play, I still think like Magnamon is. You want to see Cool Boy like very early on in the game. I feel like you have to play it mid to late. It feels really bad, so we're cutting it down to reduce the amount of diminishing returns we may face. Okay, and then GX. I mentioned it a little bit briefly, but like it's an ace that we can blast over red black. So Crania, Alpha, Gallant, Jess, Gonku are all valid targets, especially Crania and Jess. Those are really great targets. You take a Royal Knight from hand or trash, put it underneath, pop a Digimon with as much or less DP, and when attacking, it unsuspends, and then you'll never resolve the burn, but like the fact that it swings twice. So with Omnimon, what you're trying to do is you're trying to, obviously you're trying to kill your opponent. And so, for example, ways you can generate additional bodies. Lord Knight spawn a 4, that's an additional body because Omnimon gives rush for the entire turn. So Lord Knight spawns an additional body, that's 2 damage. Jessmon spawns token, that's 2 damage. Kentorosmon is 2 damage, GX is 2 damage, and Omni X is 2 damage. If you Omni turn, and that means you remove Yggdrasil from your raising area, that means you then can evolve. So you can actually evolve Omni X over your Omni X or like one of your red 6s, and that also represents an additional damage as well. So you actually have a ton of different ways to extend damage nowadays. For Royal Knights or like techs you can possibly entertain going forward, there is, let's see here. Let's see. Obviously, you can play a 3rd Leopard if you really wanted to, just like consistency on that combo. Ulforce was a tech that previously saw play. It's just being able to strip sources, so like protection sources and whatnot, can be really useful. You can use this with Purge or Gankumon in order to get additional value as well. But I feel like the deck has a lot of different removal now, so like we're okay without it, but it's still a solid card. BT13 Alpha is very good against Gallant because Gallant attacks the player and then raids. So having this Alphamon active would prevent you from getting blitz raided by the Gallant X, which can be very significant. So if you expect a lot of Gallant X, then this Alphamon is a very strong card. I think it is interchangeable with like this Alphamon slot and maybe like want to run a second one. But like regardless, it's something to definitely take into consideration. I don't think we ever need the recursion from this personally. You have Old Dynus, which is like, it's a blocker. It's like a 16k blocker with -6, but like, it's whatever. We have, let's see, what is this? Trash game blocker +6, so it's a 17k blocker, heals once, whatever. Dynus X doesn't really do a whole ton because it's when attacking when Digivolving. New Exa Ace is Raid Pierce Blocker Evade. An alternates when this Digimon suspends, you may unsuspend. So it's just like a keyword soup. It's really solid because it's just a 9 cost hard slam, so you can play this pretty cheap. And we can also use this with a Leopardmon, for example. With Leopardmon's 4 cost reduction, this becomes a 5 cost level 7, which is pretty solid. And it also has the double evade, which is pretty good. And then we also have access to Oryukin on play, -15 till the end of opponent's turn, and then when a security stack is removed, gain 3. So we can utilize this for cards for matchups like Gallant X or Magna X, where they're having like this protection, and then like at the start of their turn they'll just get like vaporized. So Oryukin is really good in that sense. But the issue with Oryukin that you will end up running into is number one, you can't blast. You can't blast Ace because you do need both Alpha and Oryu, and you're probably not running Oryu. Um, and obviously you can't evolve it on your turn because you're under Drazel, so you have to hard slam this, which is fine. But you have to be weary of the fact that it then becomes like a 5 memory boost effectively for your opponent. The reason why GX is in the deck is because you can actually blast into this, and it also represents double damage. And then we have Old Exa, which is like a 2 damage. New Gallant X is 3 damage because it burns 1, unsuspends, and then swings. So this can represent 3 damage alone with the Omni combo, but I found that like you want more consistent cards and cards that do more during the actual like game. This would only be good during your combo turn, so you'd have to like purge the Royal Knights this into Source and then play it out. And that just feels like a lot of work. Yeah, and yeah, that and like some other cards that you can entertain. Medieval Gallantmon is a card that sees a little bit of play. Because it's not a Royal Knight, it won't get sucked up by Yggdrasil, which is actually very advantageous for you because you want this as like a semi like floodgate basically on your board. If your opponent plays a Digimon, you just like snipe it, and it can be used as like immediate spot removal. It has Alliance Vortex, so it can push damage as well as like remove bodies. So possibly it removes 2 bodies because you pop 1, suspend 1, Vortex into it, which is really good. My only issue that I ran into when I was testing this Medieval Gallantmon is that I just felt like I had a lot of removal already inherently in the deck, and that I didn't need it. I feel like I have a lot of damage and a lot of removal already in this specific list, so I didn't feel like I actually needed the Medieval Gallant, but Medieval Gallant is still really good, so if you want to run it, that's fine. Like I said, Porcupa as a floodgate out is totally valid. And yeah, that's like for the most part, that's the list. I've been testing this for a bit now, a bit like a week or so, and it's felt really good. Slots I'm considering, I don't know if 3 OmniX is correct, but I feel like it is just because like it's such a strong offensive as well as defensive play, and you don't want one to get stuck in security. I'm not sure if 3 Leopard or 2 Leopard is correct, just because like you do need to see the Leopard for your Omni combo. Like it just helps streamline it so much. And I don't know if 3 Dynas is correct versus 2 Dynas, because like in the mid to late game, seeing Dynas isn't like super helpful. But everything else feels like really good, so I wouldn't change any of that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And like I said, I know this feels a little bit unorthodox from our normal deck profiles. It feels a little bit more like sporadic or scattered. But I got really excited about this deck, and I just kind of wanted to share it. So I hope you all enjoyed, and peace out.